been murdered. All the friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. And the bird said nevermore.
You're listening to the Call Podcast with Brandon and Josh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of The Call. It is a Baltimore Ravens podcast where we talk anything and everything Baltimore Ravens football. Thank you all for listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast,
yeah,
Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Well, that didn't go as we had hoped. It looked good for the majority of the time. Like, do we get participation trophies at least? I hope not. Another fourth quarter collapse by the Baltimore Ravens, this time up against the New York Giants. Joining me as always as we found out just this week, 11 years we've been doing this. 11 years, 10 seasons of the show. 11 years is when the call was born this week. My buddy Josh, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right considering state of affairs of this football team. But before we get that, let's start off the show with a great note, right? Happy birthday, Call, 11 years, because the Ravens are taking 11 years off my life at this point. But man, I can't believe it, man. I've known you for that long. We've been doing the Call for over 300 strong. What are we going to do for 500?
I don't know, man. That's a long ways away, especially with the way this team's going, because it doesn't look like we're going to be doing shows in January.
We make it because I told you I'm about to quit the show, man. I can't do this anymore.
Hey, I got my cap sweater on.
I'm just kidding, everybody. But seriously, I told him, I'm like, after the Bills collapse, I was like, I'm going to go divert to What the Puck, and I'm not. I'm done with the Call because I can't take this anymore. Now with this third one in 6 weeks, I'm at my wit's end, man. Let's get right into it. I'm cranky. I texted everybody after Sunday, like, look, I matured, and I've told you that time and time again in my fandom, right? Like, before Ravens lose, especially against the Steelers or anything like that, I would be like, it would ruin my mood all week, right? And I've learned, and I matured, and I've grown in that. So I'm like, look, it's just a game. Like, look, the Ravens losing, they're in midfield slapping and, high-fiving and jersey swapping, and they're going to go sleep at night with their millions of dollars. Like, yeah, who cares? So I'm like, you know what? I've learned a lot that'll affect me. But after this time, Brandon, I'm cranky, bro. Like, I'm fed up. I'm tired. I almost don't even want to watch the team anymore. I don't even want to watch the games because I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over the mediocrity. I'm over the patheticness. I'm over it. I don't know where to start. Obviously you can tell I'm a little bit, I'm cranky, put it that way. Dude, this team, this summarizes it perfectly. They are their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
The other teams aren't beating them. They are beating themselves. Let's put it out there. Giants had no business winning that game. Ravens had no business losing that game. And Ravens are sitting at 500. Everybody's like, they should be 6-0, but they're not. Their record dictates what they are. They're what we talked about it. They're what? Mid. They're mid. They're 3-3. They're mid. They're right down the middle. They're 500. Like, I was texting people all day long, like, Ravens suck. Like what happened to your boys? I'm like, they suck. I don't know. Like, and they're like surprised to hear me say that. I'm like, look, I love my Ravens, but look, I don't drink the purple Kool-Aid all day long and thinking everything's fine and dandy and it's roses out here. It is not. There is a big problem. It has to be identified. It has to be squashed because this team is too good for that. They have too much talent and they're wasting Lamar's prime years with it's just mediocrity. And I don't know if it's players, if it's coaching, if it's both, if it's one-sided, is it offensive coordinator, is it defensive coordinator? I almost don't know who to blame right now. I think it's everybody who is employed in the organization is to blame right now. That's kind of like what I put at it because, again, everybody's got to look at each other in the mirror and say that you got to own it. I'm the problem. Dude, this is unprecedented. They've trailed for 120 seconds. They trailed for a little around 2 minutes of the season in the 3-3. They had no business losing these games. Brandon, I don't know, man. I mean, bro, here's the thing. They were doomed from the start when Tucker's field goal doinged the upright.
Yeah.
He is money for over 50. Like, he's money anywhere, but over 50, he's like the best. As soon as that happened, I looked at my dad. I'm like, I didn't want to speak it, but I'm like, we're gonna lose. Like, this. We're not getting out early. We're not doing anything. It was 7-7, letting these teams hang around. I was like, this smelled like a big fat loss, man. It just oozed it all day. Like, I just knew it was doomed from the start. What say you? You can tell I'm a little bit fiery, rightfully so. But I'm at my wit's end, man. I don't even know anymore.
I think I was just a little trepidatious about this because of what we've seen so far this year. I thought the team looked great last week against the Bengals. I thought they really had something to prove here, and that was going to be a turning point. But here we are. The team is mid. It's 3-3. That Giants team, we had Thibodeau on their team crying after the game, just so full of joy, the fact that they were able to get away with a win. And to their credit, they figured out how to beat the Ravens. They had Wink Martindale on their side. They knew some secrets, I guess, from Wink of how this team would operate. But we've seen this before, unfortunately. This team can't finish out a game. It's kind of ridiculous. It's last week against the Bengals. We saw Lamar during that last drive put this team on his back, get those 30 yards we needed so Tucker could do his thing. This time around, all right, Lamar, it's your job. You've got 2 minutes left. We need you to get down the field. We needed a touchdown this time. The field goal wouldn't have worked. We need you to go all the way down the field. And he got flustered, and he was forcing a play. He was forcing a throw, trying to make something happen that wasn't there. And unfortunately, that's what happened. He got flustered. He tried to force a play in those last 2 minutes, and an interception happened, and it was all over. And that's bad. That's not what you want to see. Lamar's got and you see, that's the thing, though. I'm so confused about Lamar because I was there for that Sunday night game against the Bengals, and he was so smart with the ball the majority of the game when he wasn't forcing plays to happen. He was throwing that ball away if he didn't see something. If he was getting pressured, he was throwing that ball away onto the sidelines. This time around, I don't know what he was doing. He was trying to make something happen that wasn't there. So it is unfortunate that happened. I don't know why he tried to do that, but the defense has also got their issues. Marcus Peters, you got to be smarter than that. He's had a really weird season. He came back, and we kind of thought, like, yes, now the secondary is going to level itself out. And Marcus Peters, he's been a detriment. He's been getting pass interference calls when he shouldn't be. He's got to play smarter. This entire team has to play smarter. It looks like, to me, undisciplined, badly coached Ravens football. They're trying to force things. This team doesn't feel organic. It constantly feels like it's a square peg going into a round hole.
It does, man. You hit it right there. Is this coaching? Does it come down to coaching? Like, is this team badly coached? I heard it from a media member that covers the Ravens after the press conference. They said Harbaugh looked exhausted. He looked tired.
Yeah.
Like almost like he looked like he didn't have any answers after this one. It was kind of like, I'm done. Like, you could see it on his face. The body language read that. Can't remember who put it out there. I went and tried to fact it was on the Twitter world. Can't find it. But I watched this press conference. Same thing I observed. I don't know, but that's the question. Is it come down to coaching? Do the Ravens need to change in a new voice? But before you answer that, I'm going to put it out there. I still stand by my feelings that the wrong coordinator was let go. I felt like Wink Martindale should have been still retained, and we should have had a change in offensive coordinator because
now I do agree with you there, but if you listen to any press conferences with Wink this past week when he was talking about going against the Ravens, he seemed really unhappy to be in Baltimore. He was like, I needed a change of scenery. This just wasn't working out for me. So while I do agree with you, maybe the wrong coordinator was let go. If Wink wasn't happy here and he didn't think this was working, then I didn't want him to be a part of this team either, because you don't want to be like, there's this big new phrase out there recently in the last month called quiet quitters, how they don't really leave their jobs, they just kind of do the bare minimum. I don't want that for our defensive coordinator, if that's what he was going to be. Like, if he wasn't happy, go ahead, get out of here, go someplace else that makes you happy, because you're not going to get the job done here if you're unhappy in Baltimore. So while I do agree with you, I don't want Wink to be the guy here if he's unhappy and just kind of like doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that for a second. I mean, hey, I still stand by my statement. That's not going to make me change it, but you're right. I mean, if this wasn't a perfect fit for Wink, you got to go in greener pastures, and you can see what he's doing for the Giants. Because I feel like the Giants, we're gonna get into this because, looking at this game, it kind of puts things in perspective because, we had a big discussion after this loss Monday. A lot of people, social media and text threads a lot. Things came up where, this is where the Bateman factor kind of played a big role, because it was like the Ravens, they were running the ball today, but they couldn't throw the ball. The leading receivers, Duvernay. Yeah, Duvernay, he's had a few touchdowns this year. Great, right? But look, he's not a true number one receiver. Let's call it what it is. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Still uber talented, but
Still
not a number one guy. Yeah.
Not taken away from that. But when we're talking elite receiving talent, right? Somebody pointed out this, and I kind of ran with this. And I'm going to pull up my notes because I had a good discussion about this, but then this is why I wanted to really focus on what the Giants and they're doing versus what the Ravens' inability are not. So Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown via trade for this draft this year. Tua got Tyreek Hill. Derek Carr got Devonta Adams. Lamar gets, get out of bag. He's got the text was Jalen got Brown, Tua got Hill, Carr got Adams, Lamar gets, Deshaun Jackson. Obviously, cat's out of bag. Obviously, Ravens have tried to patchwork it and to sign Deshaun Jackson as of yesterday to the practice squad. He'll probably be elevated. That's some help. We'll get into that in a little bit, but that was the discussion for the discussion's sake. Lamar Jackson's wide receivers during his career: John Brown, Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead, Miles Boykin, Seth Roberts, Hollywood Brown, Dez Bryant, Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, Sammy Watkins, DeMarcus Robinson, Rashad Bateman. Okay. There it is. All furthermore, what was the problem in Flacco's tenure? Receiver talent, right?
Right.
Receiving talent. Yeah, I know they signed a Derek Mason. Okay, free agent. Wasn't draft talent, wasn't elite. I mean, obviously he was, to the tail end of his career, had great years for us. I'm not discounting what Derek did. Steve Smith, okay? Anquan Bolden brought us a championship. He was instrumental in that run, but again, brought in. Wasn't cultivated, wasn't like, you get it, right? Or it wasn't, I mean, at that time, you can make a case for Anquan Bolden was the biggest acquisition, the Ravens receivers. But my point is, when Flacco left, a lot of folks felt like that was just wasted, right? Even though Joe brought us a championship, Super Bowl MVP, he never had that elite receiver talent. He had the tight end, just like Andrews now. The Ravens had Heap, then they had Pitta, now they got Mark Andrews. So they cultivated the tight end spot really well. What they can't get right is receiver. Yeah, and then before, it was like, and then they kind of tried to do it right, with Hollywood Brown. They drafted him for Lamar. Okay, got this guy that takes the top off. He was traded. Now he's hurt for the Cardinals. Rashad Bateman, didn't play half of last season. And then by the time he came back, Lamar was hurt, didn't play with Lamar. And then now Lamar had him for a few games. Now he was hurt for the last 2 games. So right now, I put a big question mark on Bateman because you don't know. Yeah, you can see what he can do with the big plays and all that, but what can he really do? He hasn't played a full year yet, technically. It hasn't had a full season game wise. It's called elite receiver talent, and the frustration was there is you see all the time the Ravens, they get stingy with their draft picks, and I call them out on all the time. It's you see other teams making what they trade draft picks for receivers. The Cardinals just did it. Robbie Anderson in Carolina was unhappy. It was visible, right? Making things on the sidelines and blowing up. You can see it in his body language. He was not happy there. The head coach got fired. His quarterback play wasn't subpar. It was subpar. Call it what it is. They're like dead last in the power rankings. The team's in shambles, right? They're in the rebuild mode. The Cardinals are getting DeAndre Hopkins back from his suspension. Hollywood Browns just goes down with an injury. So what do the Cardinals do? They trade draft picks to get a receiver who is unhappy. It works. It's that easy. But the Ravens, you won't see that because they don't like to let go draft picks, especially the high ones, like first and second. I know it's draft capital. It's your future. And the Ravens usually draft. They have a history of drafting well. Let's call it what it is. They maneuver the board. It is what it is. But the way I see it is, if this offense wants to grow, you got to get Lamar talent surrounded with talent. Not the guys coming off the street like a Dez Bryant. Look, it's great. They experimented with Le'Veon Bell last year in the running back. They got Dez Bryant 2 years ago. Now they're getting Deshaun Jackson. Like they're experimenting here, but call it what it is. What was furthermore frustrating is you can talk about receivers all day long, but then I pointed out yesterday in discussion with my best friend Mike, one of my best friends, Mike, timeout. Wait a minute. The Giants are 5-1. Who are Daniel Jones' receivers? Brandon, can you name any?
Yeah, and you were even saying they were both out this past game.
Right. And obviously, and everyone's like, oh, you eat your words. I don't care. Like, ha, 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 big funny. Okay, I'm going to put it out there publicly. I don't care. Okay. Yeah, I was like, oh, Ravens by 30. Yeah, because when you read days before the game that the Giants they were already out Sterling Shepard that got lost a couple weeks ago. Then the next top two receivers are out. You would think the Ravens could walk away with the game. So don't ha-ha and poke fun at me. Anybody would bet that. The Ravens should have blown them out away. Call it what it is. The Giants didn't have 100 yards total offense until the third quarter. The Baltimore Ravens defense snuffed that offense out. They couldn't do anything. The Giants had less than 100 yards total offense running and passing at halftime. They could not do anything. They should have not all won that game. Had no business winning that game. I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it. It's NFL talent. But look, their leading receiver, I couldn't even tell you. I have to go back and look. The name that comes to mind was the rookie Wan'Dale Robinson. Like Saquon Barkley was their offense. I mean, call what is Brandon, but it's just frustrating to me because then it's funny because you look on the flip side, you talk about receiver talent, but the Giants are doing it without talent. They're doing it with it's like, I don't know what I have to go back and look at the Giants wins. And I'm not here to dissect that. I'm here to dissect the Ravens, but I almost want to know how the Giants won 5 out of 6 games already, because it isn't by receiving, it isn't by their stellar offense. It isn't by far. It's probably because they don't turn the ball over. Guarantee it. Daniel Jones is managing the game and the Giants defense, because what I saw in London last week before they played the Ravens the following week, this weekend, was they were in Aaron Rodgers' face. They were batting out balls. That happened Sunday against Lamar. The Packers put up 20 points in the first half. They didn't score a second half point. Like, that defense snuffed out the Packers, and then the Giants found their stride offensively, scored enough points to ultimately win the game. It's kind of like what happened against the Ravens. The Giants did enough plays, but there's so much to dissect here. I don't even know where to start, but that's kind of where I'm going to start unpacking. The other point I wanted to bring up is, I might hear your thoughts on it too, is even though the defense had an okay day mostly, I don't know what the defense's problem is, but when they got this team in 3rd and long, there was a 3rd and 16 and a 3rd and 12 that was converted for a first down. Why has that happened? That can't happen. The Ravens, if they get them off the field, maybe we're talking about a different game. I'm not even going to talk about Lamar's mistakes in the fourth quarter collapse. Those 3rd downs can't happen. It's 3rd and 12, and you're letting a wide receiver wide open in the middle of the field to convert that and keep the drive alive. And I guarantee, if my memory is correct, they probably led to a point scored or somehow for the Giants. They kept drives alive. They kept Lamar off the field, kept the Ravens at bay. There was a lot of breakdowns. 3rd down conversions, the Ravens couldn't get them off the field. And what's even more disgusting is, again, the Ravens had a lead with 6 minutes to go. 10 points, 2 scores. Couldn't close out the game, bro. Couldn't close out the game. the Ravens didn't turn the ball over all day, and then what did they do? Turn the ball over 2 times in the final 4 minutes. The Giants scored 14 points off of that. They scored 14 unanswered, ultimately win the game. I mean, the fumble didn't really score off that. They could have. Saquon nailed it down for us, but I don't know what that's about. But, I don't know. It's just there's a lot to unpack there, but, I don't know. I mean, Lamar on that final few drives literally reminded me of his rookie year. When that errant snap happened, throw the ball away. I don't know what he's doing, trying to make a hero play. Reminds me of Brett Favre. No, I'm not comparing Lamar to Favre, but Favre did that in his career. He always tried to make the hero play. Lamar had the most interceptions in the NFL. If I remember correctly, he's still probably number one. And the fumble just reminded me of the fumble against the Chargers in the first playoff game for his career. Just being careless with the ball, turning the ball over, not giving the team a chance. It was just flat out disgusting, man. That can't happen. And, after the Patriots game where he scored 5 total touchdowns himself, with throwing it and running, looked like an MVP. But since week 3, he hasn't played like one. Even with the Bengals win, I don't care. Still hasn't played like an MVP. And the stock's going down, and the Ravens are saving money by the game because of this play.
You have to wonder. The off season everything was about Lamar's contract. I mean, the entire rest of the team was put on the back burner, and everyone was just talking about this Lamar contract. And there was, hashtag pay the man, hashtag pay him his worth, do this, do whatever. And the Ravens and Lamar couldn't come to an agreement. Maybe the Ravens were smart for that. Maybe they kind of were like, hey, this guy is not worth this amount of money. If you think you are, prove it. Lamar's got this extra weight on his shoulders of he is literally paying for or playing for his livelihood. If he has a certain dollar amount in his mind, he's thinking, I need to play this way. I need to make plays happen. I need to force things. And I think that it's affecting the entire team. I think at the end of this year, Lamar or Coach Harbaugh are gone, one or the other. I don't think the two of them can work cohesively together for the next 5-6 years, however long Lamar wants his contract to be, or however long Harbaugh has left in his contract. It's bad because every time the Ravens lose, the only thing they're talking about on Good Morning Football or ESPN, or, I shared a video of Rex Ryan talking about the Ravens situation just now, or I think it was yesterday or the day before. And he was like, look, he's not playing up to the worth that he thinks he is. He's not. And it is unfortunate that we're going through that right now with the Ravens. Lamar is incredibly talented. I mean, some of his numbers are amazing. And then you look at his numbers in the fourth quarter and they're not even mid. They're terrible. I think he's ranked 29th for a QB rating in just the fourth quarter, which is horrible. The team's being outcoached. The team's being outplayed. I don't want to this is a team sport. I don't want to just say this is all on Lamar's shoulders. It is his fault. No, it's not. He's missing his wide receiver. He's missing his number one wide receiver, who was a number 1 draft pick, Rashad Bateman. He's been out two games, and Coach Harbaugh said on Monday that he's getting closer. Will we see him on Sunday? I don't know. We're recording this Wednesday morning, so we haven't seen an injury report yet, but Rashad Bateman's missed the last 2 games due to injury. The secondary just hasn't been as good because these guys are coming back from injury. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, we are like, yes, these guys are finally back on the field. We're going to be back to the way we were. Well, they were injured last year. Maybe they have missed a step or two. Maybe that injury is still on their minds. I don't know. Injuries affect people differently. So
They do.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to what's going on with this team, because for 3.5 quarters, most of these games, they look like an unbeatable wrecking machine. They look like they are the team to beat in the NFL. And then there's maybe 10 minutes left on the clock and the team just falters and they beat themselves. And they should be 6-0. They should be. They should be right there with the Eagles. They should be 6-0 because this team has the talent to do that. They have the coaching staff to do that. But for whatever reason, other teams have figured out what the Ravens are going to do and what the plays are going to make, and things aren't going the Ravens' way. Luckily, right now, I mean, we're about a quarter of the way through the season. Right now, the Ravens are 3-3. They sit on top of the AFC North. You want to get through the regular season, you got to go through your division first, and luckily we're the number 1 seed in the AFC North. So that's at least a little bit of good news at 3-3. That's at least going to try to secure you a spot in the playoffs.
Look, and that's what Coach Harbaugh was trying to portray in the press conference, right? Like the Ravens, despite all the flaws, are still in control of their own destiny. They're going into week 7. For now. This isn't we don't have to scoreboard watch, we don't have to hope and pray. But the fact remains is, you've only had one division game, and we have our second one coming up here. You got to beat the Browns, because if you get 0-2 in division and the Browns even the score there, with the Ravens at 3-4 and the Browns at 3-4, that can't happen. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here a little bit, but even trying to segue into breaking down the game, you're right. You got to take care of your division first. I mean, the Ravens somehow can go run the gauntlet somehow and go 5-1 in division the rest of the way. There's 5 more wins. They already have 3. There's 8. So it's like if they can find 2 or 3 more wins at other games, they're probably a wild card team, right? Let's call it what it is. 10, 11, 12. I mean, I had them at 12-5 to start the season, which means they have to lose 2 games the rest of the way. That's pretty funny, which they'll probably lose more the way they're playing. But, yeah, I get it, right? The division's the only division of football who all 4 teams don't have a winning – or any of the teams don't have a winning record. The Ravens and Bengals are 3-3. Steelers and Browns are 2-4. What's even more unfortunate for us is – the Bengals and Steelers won their football game on Sunday. The Ravens lost, so they lost the game there. They could have stayed a game ahead, it being 4-2, and all that, playing the Browns and having a chance to really do this. With the Ravens having one home game now and then not having another one for a month. I mean, typically right now they've been a better road team. Obviously, they lost their first road contest this year, and Lamar, throw the stats out now, but it was fun to talk about, but he was 12-0 versus the NFC teams in his career. Now he's 12-1. He lost to the Giants. It all starts now. I mean, at 3-3 season, I feel like it has to reset. Ravens got to find themselves. And you almost have to – you don't want to look at anything optimistic right now, right? Because it's just so bad for this team's collapses, and no one can really pinpoint on what's going on. Like, coaches, I feel like, don't have an answer in press conferences. Players don't have an answer. It just happens. It's bad. Ravens are getting healthier somehow. I mean, apparently Gus Edwards, they should, I'm going to put should in air quotes, should be back Sunday. Apparently Bateman's on track. Bowser and Ojabo are close to returning. So you have some help on the pass rusher front. So
and Ojabo, he was the guy that in the draft everyone was saying was going to be a first-round draft pick if he hadn't gotten hurt during his he didn't do not the combine. What's the day called? His
pro day.
His pro day, yes, thank you. When he got hurt there, he was going to be a number 1 draft pick, but because of that injury, he slipped down, and the Ravens were able to snatch him up. So, I mean, that should be a first-rounder draft pick talent right there. That would help out the Ravens immensely on defense.
I just got to get healthy. I mean, talent could be great, but we only can see what he did at college. So, needs we can do for us the pro level. Well, we hope he can contribute quickly. Because the fact of the matter is, I feel like time's running out quickly for the Ravens because, again, already week 7. I know things haven't been the best in terms for the Ravens right now as far as putting out their footing. But, you don't want them to lose grip on things quickly because as far as the playoff race and division race is concerned, things can unravel if they don't get it in gear. But
look at this. They've got a late bye. They got week 10 as their bye week. So 10. they've got 3 weeks of football, and there's a shortened week in there as well because next week is against Tom Brady, who did lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's a Thursday night game in Tampa Bay against Tom Brady.
And folks, I don't want to jump ahead, but folks are really I guess because of Tom Brady's play now, which I feel like he should have stayed retired. I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan this side of anybody. who's a non-Tampa Bay, non-Patriot fan. I love the guy. Love him. I'm a fan of his, by the way. So, but he hasn't had a great year either. So folks are already like, oh, we could beat the Browns at home and then turn around and beat Tampa Bay. And then we're right back 2 games above 500. I'm like, what's to say any of these are wins?
Yeah.
See the way the Ravens are playing, they can't close out games. Like, let's relax. Plus, it's still Tom Brady over there. I don't care how bad he's playing. So, it's still. I mean, the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Calm down. But yeah, Brady's probably on his last legs. And between you and me, I feel like he should have stayed retired last year. Family drama aside, I just don't think he has it. I think he's lost it this year, and the age is starting to show. But again, it is still Tom Brady, and until the other shoe drops, we'll get to that in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks now. But yeah, I mean, this Browns matchup is very important because, I mean, no matter what, you can draw on the past. The Ravens have collapsed in 3 games, and they could have won those games. And what is going on? It all starts now. It all starts with this Browns team that lines up in front of them, and they got to beat them. Like I said, the Bengals game was a must-win, and they took care of that because of what was going on at the time. I don't know, but this is a must-win too.
Yeah,
like now it's almost like each week's a playoff game now because of what they put themselves in.
Yeah, this is a must-win. It's against a division rival,
Yep.
and they're against a team that is without their number 1 quarterback for at least the next couple weeks.
Yep.
So this is a team that they're going to be up against a second-string quarterback. The Browns have done all right so far this year.
They're 2-4.
So they're 2-4. They don't have a winning record, but they still were able to sneak out 2 wins. And will they be able to do that against the Baltimore Ravens? I would really hope not. This team. This could be a confidence booster as well. This is a team that there's a lot of history between the Ravens and the Browns. So can the Baltimore Ravens do it? This is their only home game, I think, for like 4 weeks as well. They're not back until November 20th.
Because they go to Tampa on Thursday night. They go to New Orleans on the following Monday night. So they got 2 back-to-back primetime games, then a bye.
I did not realize that it's 2 night games, a Thursday night and a Monday night back-to-back weeks. And then the bye, and then they're back to a Sunday 1 o'clock at home on the 20th. So that's a little bit of a crazy schedule. I guess you get 2 weeks at home, week 10 and week 11, technically, if you're thinking about it. So yeah, but we got to focus on the Browns here.
Right now, I'm taking it week to week with this team. Like right now, they got the Browns. I don't care about the Bucs. I don't care about the Saints. I don't care about the bye weeks. I don't care who's after that. Right now, it's the Browns, and that's it. Like they got to beat them. Do I want to pick the Ravens in this game? Maybe. I don't know. And now I'm back to my bitter self after the Dolphins game. Prove it. What do you got? Challenge me. But I mean, I almost want to even pick the Ravens to lose. But I mean, the Ravens coming off a loss like that away, I feel like they got to put it away at home. It pains me because this team's in shambles and Lamar's not playing on MVP level by any stretch of means right now. Put on 8. I challenge 8. Get together. I challenge the team. Coach Harbaugh, what you got? What you got your best stuff? Because this is it. You want to talk about adversity and no weapon and all that back in the playoff days, in the good old days, right? Time's now to dig in. The whole mantra's good. It was good scripture and all that. No weapon formed against how prosper and Ravens did all that in 2012. And they overcame some adversity, didn't they? Not in that Broncos playoff game. Right now, it's stacking up against them, and you could be the optimist and say, "No weapon, let's go," and we got this. And adversity builds strong soldiers. But right now, the Ravens and the Ravens themselves are only blamed for this collapse. It's what it is. I mean, should have beat the Bills, had them on the ropes in this first half. Didn't score a single second half point. The Dolphins game was a crazy anomaly that probably only happens once. I mean, you're up 21 points with 12 minutes to go, and you lose, and you allow the team to score 28 points in that fashion. You only score 3. You outscored 20-3 in the final 12 minutes. It's insane. And then the way they did it on Sunday against the Giants. 6 minutes to go. But one thing I haven't talked about, and I wanted to really put it on, is the Ronnie Stanley penalty. I feel like he changed the momentum of the game, and you could easily put the blame on Ronnie Stanley because if that penalty don't happen, Ravens probably do win the game. Can't remember it's just again, I feel like it's a blur. Do you recall if the game was at 20 to 10 at that time, or was it 20, or was it did the Giants score before that or after? I can't remember.
I'm not
But the
positive.
Ravens, I think it was around 4 minutes to go or close to that. If the Ravens would have got the first down, granted, remember it was a pass. I thought they got the first down, but they were ruled like a half a yard short. It was funny. I actually caught the quarterback sneak. I looked at my dad and was like, "You got to sneak it here. Just line up, quick snap it, let Lamar run it right up the middle, lean over for a couple of yards, and let's get the clock running." Right? They did it. They got the first down, but then the illegal formation or legal procedure, or Ronnie Stanley, who was lined up incorrectly on the line, negated that. Then it was 3rd and 6, and then the Ravens tried to pass it, and that's where the Aaron snap happened. Apparently, that was Tyler Linderbaum because the silent count, I guess, right? With it being a road game, that really unraveled things. So it's kind of like if you look at the penalty happened. The Ravens had an Aaron snap, which led to the interception, which led to the Giants scoring. So it was kind of like, again, don't want to put the finger on just Ronnie Stanley, but that penalty don't happen. I feel like the Ravens win the game. I mean, but call it what it is. So, but Lamar ended up throwing the interception. I mean, even if the penalty happened, Lamar, all he had to do was just swing the ball out of bounds, reset, let the defense go to work. I would rather have that scenario happen and challenge the Giants to try to move the ball than Lamar try to make a hero play. It's on him. That interception was inexcusable, can't happen, and it just unraveled from there. So the Ravens are just killing themselves. Like I said, the figure of speech, shooting yourself in the foot, I tweeted out. I said, the penalty, foot, gun, shoot, right there. That's what they do. It's they did these things to themselves. It wasn't like the Giants made plays. They did this after the fact that the Ravens gave it to them, but it wasn't like the Giants were toe-to-toe with the Ravens. The Ravens are giving out free Christmas presents already early in the season because they're like, here, gift wrap, here, take the game. We don't want it. Like, it's just inexcusable, and it's got to stop because if they lose another game like this in fashion, dude, fans are going to be at the gates of M&T Bank Stadium rioting for like a head to roll because something's got to give, and that's the Ravens, man. It's like things they identify change, but they don't do anything to change it. They bring in old players like JPP and Deshaun Jackson and try to fix things, like putting Band-Aids on things. Let's fix it instead of pain management. Let's actually get to the root, cut the root off, and let's fix this. But is it fixable without a change? I don't know, man. But it could be Harbaugh's voice getting stale. It could be players. I don't know if there's a mutiny. I don't know if there's dissension. I don't know if there's finger pointing. But the team definitely doesn't have that same gel as they had 3 years ago in 2019, right? It's gone. That whole team aspect, you're not seeing it here. They always preach family after they break huddles and team, but I'm not seeing it. The Ravens are killing themselves, and look in the mirror because it's to me, it's Ravens 3 and Ravens 3. It isn't the 3-3 record. It's Ravens versus Ravens right now. That's exactly the way I see it. I don't care who they lost to. They lost themselves. They shouldn't have lost those games. But I'm not going to sit here saying they should be 6-0 because everybody knows they should. It's disgusting. But they got to clean it up. In no way, shape, or form is this team anywhere near playoff ready right now because they just aren't. They need to get together, and they're mid. And I challenge them. But I think a mid team like this could certainly beat a midder team with the Browns on Sunday. It could easily happen. I mean, the Browns pose their own challenges, right? They got, they got Myles Garrett on the other side who's going to wreak havoc. Just like we talked about trying to keep Thibodeau down, and he made the play with the fumble on Sunday. So, it's going to be hard fought, and the Browns-Ravens always have a hard fought, but this is the first Browns-Ravens in recent memory here since Lamar era that there's no Baker Mayfield. So it's a new era for the Browns-Ravens rivalry now because you don't have the Lamar versus Baker story, same draft class, 1 versus 32 draft pick, and blah, blah, blah. And we thought this would be the duel for years to come. Now it's going to be basically Burrow and Lamar. It depends. Who knows? Who knows the future?
And Carolina is up on week 11, and who knows if it still will be Lamar versus Baker Mayfield week 11, because things aren't really working out for Baker Mayfield and Carolina right now. So we'll see how that goes. But like you said, penalties are just crazy with this Ravens team right now. Marcus Peters didn't help at the end of the game. Ronnie Stanley, Morgan Moses is a guy who was constantly called this game. He actually had to get carted off the field, and he missed a couple plays, but he was checked out, and then he came back into the game. But at the beginning of this game, in the first quarter, Morgan Moses, he was being called for penalty after penalty after penalty. It needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be more disciplined. The players need to be a little bit more disciplined, and it's on everybody. It's not just on Harbaugh. It's not just on Lamar. It's not just on the coordinators. It is on everybody on this team. Everyone needs to improve. 100%.
Everybody.
Every position, everybody needs to improve. I mean, even the GOAT, Justin Tucker, who got a doink.
Yes.
In this past game, he needs to improve. So I'm not trying to single anybody out here. This team as a whole needs to get on the same page. They need to be a cohesive unit.
Look how week to week this is.
Yeah, I mean,
look how week to week it is, right?
Sunday night was a different team.
Well, and that not only that, but like we're praising Justin Tucker for what he does best, right? Winning games, kicking clutch kicks, and he doinks a 50-yarder. Like usually when he's lining up for a field goal, we can go take a potty break, drink break, smoke break, eat break. You take a break because you know it's going through, and then he doinks it. You know you do. Like, really? Yeah. That never happens. Yeah. And it just is what it is. So, again, how he was praising the team and the snap and the hold and all that, he's got to be better. Justin Tucker still got to work on his craft. Got to go out there and practice kicks. Like, it's not guaranteed just because he walks on the field. You ain't guaranteed 3. Like, yeah, it's JT, but still human. Can miss him. But he's still great. You can't discount the great things he's done. Yeah, and Lamar, we've seen MVP play before. We've seen it 2019 as he did win the hardware. We've seen it the first 3 weeks of the season where he was on track. Like he had 12 total touchdowns, 10 throwing, 2 rushing. He had 5 in one game against the Patriots, and we're like all talking like, hey, Lamar's going to earn that check, man. Keep it up. And then Bills collapse. Bengals didn't really have a good statistical game, but they won. And then this last Sunday, deep doo-doo. So stock is going down quickly. Ravens are saving money, as I said. And right now, if you really want to keep tabs on the contract battle, Ravens right now winning it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the end. But you're right, because the pressure of the contract, each game is in a microscope. But look, here's the thing. I'm going to put this out right now. From here on out, and this isn't a game by game. I wasn't doing it in the first 6 games. But, folks, I can't control what people do and think and all that, and nor should I. And no one has any control of anybody in that realm. And I don't read the rules, but the rules here, the unwritten rules should be you should not be judging Lamar on a game-by-game basis for his MVP play. Because he goes out and has a good game one day and has a bad game. Let me see how the season plays out first off before I make an assessment. I'm not going to every week go, oh, Lamar goes out and throws 4 touchdowns. All of a sudden he gets Browns. Oh, he's earned that paycheck. And then he goes out and throws 3 interceptions next game. Oh, he didn't earn that paycheck. Well, yeah, because it's going to be a game-by-game basis. Let me see what the totality of the season looks like and what his stats are and what the rec team record is and what his play is and seeing how many times he's cost the team a win or how many mistakes did he made. Let me evaluate after this season. That's what I'm going to do. I don't care what anybody else does, but that's what I'm going to do because I'm sick and tired of the Ravens flock on social media and Lamar supporters and Lamar haters. Every time he makes a bad throw, oh, he didn't earn a paycheck. And then every time he makes a touchdown throw, oh, there he is. He earned it. Like, stop. Like, I'm tired of this game. And I'm not playing with anybody, and I'm not. You can try to play it, but I'm not going to play your game. I'm going to wait till the end of the season, reserve my judgment on what I think should happen. And then at the end of the season, Brandon, we'll talk about it. Then we'll talk about it heading into all season when this whole thing's said and done, whether they made the playoffs or not, what we think Lamar might have with Lamar. But that's what I'm going to do because we can talk about here on the show. I don't care if you ask me, but I'm just saying for the record of like talking about amongst people in the chatter, I'm just over it. I'm not rising and fall with every pass and every mistake. I'm just not doing it. It's exhausting, and you just can't do that. I'm not going to do it, at least.
Yeah. All right, so let's get out of here. We're time's running a little bit late here, so let's go over. So, do you want to give a prediction? Do you want to give a prediction for this Sunday's game? Do you want to give?
Do you want to predict a fourth quarter collapse?
Right.
Can I predict that? Can I predict them just playing 3 quarters and stopping?
Predict what it's going to be at halftime, and then predict the final score.
Let me predict what's going to happen in the fourth. How's that? Let me just fast forward because we already know the Ravens are going to hold the lead until the fourth. I predict this is going to be a nail biter. This is not going to be an easy game. This is going to be a back and forth game. It's going to be a struggle, but I think the Ravens win in the end by less than 1 score. I think I'm going to put out a 21-17 ugly fest. Like, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be a mid game. 2 mid teams locking horns, and the Ravens just getting it done. Just getting it done. But before we get out of here, I want to address something that we really didn't cover here. During the later part of the game, everybody kept asking me, Josh, where's Dobbins? Where's Dobbins? He was in the game. Where's he at? Why is Kenny Drake in? And then when the Ravens are in the red zone, why is Mike Davis in? I was asking the same question. Well, apparently Dobbins hyperextended his knee and had to be held out of the game. Furthermore, kudos to Kenyon Drake, man.
Yeah.
100 yards rushing and a touchdown. The dude had some holes to run through, and boy, did he run through them.
Big game for him.
Hey, he made me eat my words because I kept calling him a retread. I'm like, why are you hiring a retread as a running back? But we can see why they had confidence in him. I want to pull up some stats that are glaring for this game before we get out of here, because this is what I want the Ravens to fix heading into this next game. The Ravens rushing. Okay. Kenyon Drake, 119, 10 carries. 11.9 yards of average carry. Lamar Jackson, 7 for 77, 11 yards of carry. Dobbins had 7 for 15, 2.1, but obviously with the knee injury. Okay. If you look at the team stats, the Ravens ran it for 211 total yards. Giants for 83. Ravens had 195 yards passing, and the Giants 155. So obviously they dominated them in the total yards. The Ravens had over 200 yards rushing. Two folks, Kenyon Drake, Lamar, averaging 11 yards a carry on their carries. Why the heck is the game plan resort to passing when Lamar's already down his number 1 receiver? That's what I don't understand. That's why I'm anti Greg Roman, because it's like, what are these play calls? You run the ball, especially when you had the lead, run the ball until they can't stop it every play. Don't even pass it. They couldn't stop Lamar. They couldn't stop Kenyon Drake. Run them both all day long. I don't care. I don't care if Lamar's a quarterback. Run him like a running back. Run him for 200 yards in this game. Run him like it's his rookie year. The Giants couldn't stop it, and that's probably why they started collapsing with the loss, because they got away from what was working. And not only that, but the red zone efficiency is going away, because I felt like years ago the Ravens could do it at will with Lamar. Now they can't. Ravens, we get it. You know, Mark Andrews, they hit him in the helmet, but the ball was tipped. The balls were tipped all day long. Ravens got to run the ball better, or not run the ball better. They have to make better decisions in the game plan calling. I'm calling out Greg Roman on that, because you got to know what the game plan calls for. Giants couldn't stop them, and I'm like, run the ball all day long, and especially on the 3rd and 6 on the penalty, right? You know, when they moved it back 5, dude, I would have called Lamar's own number and ran him, or called an option and let him run it. There were some beautiful design plays with Lamar where there was the RPO where it looked like he was going to hand it off to Duvernay, and Lamar kept it and he ran, and I think he got a good chunk of yards, 10 plus. Like, they couldn't stop the run. And what's even more embarrassing is the Giants, especially with their defensive play and their 5-1 record, their first interception as a team didn't come until Lamar uncharacteristically threw it, disgustingly away into coverage instead of out of bounds. So you gave them a gift. And that's something I want to talk about is it just wasted a solid day for Kenyon and an okay day for Lamar on the ground, and a 200-yard rushing total. Because everybody's like, run the ball more. Well, they ran for 200 yards. What more you want to do? When you look at how good that was working and they got away from it with the lead in the fourth quarter, It's probably why they started losing, because they got away from what was working, and that can't happen. Not at all. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
So that's why I said there's a lot to unpack. It got lost in the shuffle. It was
Yeah.
in my notes. I wanted to mention that because it was a big focal point of the game plan and why I was like trying to figure out why they call certain plays where they do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Greg Roman was thinking at the end of that game. Like you said, the running game was working. Things were moving along as they should, and then you just decide, let's just start passing the ball. I don't understand that, but hopefully we won't see that on Sunday. I'm also going to say the Ravens will win this game. Okay. I also think it's going to be close. I'm going to say it's going to be 20, let's say 2017. It'll be 2017. It'll be
okay, so I said 21-17. You said 2017. Okay.
I say 20. So yeah, maybe a little bit more leaning on Justin Tucker this time around.
Okay.
All right. So hey, is that the show?
I'm going to give an exhausting quote the Raven, never mo.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the show this week. If you want to continue the conversation with Josh or I, you can go over and check us out over on Discord, discord.gg/thecallpodcast. Join our server and have a part of our game day chat, and maybe we'll do something fun over there on the bye week. It should be a lot of fun. And Discord, you can check out Ravens Twitter accounts. You can check out tailgate talk. You can talk about some game day stuff. If you want to show us what you're eating, what if you got any Ravens artwork, you can share all that over on Discord. So make sure you go over and join our server there. Now, we do this show for free. You listen, stream, and download for free on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. All we ask in return is for you to please spread the word about the show. Write us an Apple Podcast review, rate us over on Spotify, and then let people know on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram and Reddit and Snapchat and Twitch and TikTok and Discord, anywhere you're social on the web or with your phone. Say, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I listen to the call, and you should too. So that is pretty much it for the show this week. Josh, take us out the way you always do.
Thanks, Brandon, man. I'm exhausted. I'm cranky. I'm frustrated, irritated with this team. Yeah, winning's great, right? Makes everything great. You know, trust me, look at our neighbors to the north. The Eagles are 6-0. All the fans are having fun. There are baseball teams in the championship round of the MLB playoffs. Things are looking good for that, right? And it's always fun when the team's winning. It's always fun, right? Even when they're not. I've always said I'll accept losses if it's a hard-fought battle and the other team just ends up victorious. Okay, great. Ravens lost a good win. It sucks, right? But we're on our wits' end. We're all cranky, frustrated, done. We want answers. We want changes. We want them now. We want answers, and no one can give them to us. The Ravens seem like they do patchwork and not really, they kind of temporarily relieve the pain by giving temporary relief, but not a permanent solution. I'm going to say Ravens Nation, hang in there. You got to be faithful, as we always are, I get it, right? It's tough times. It sucks. It's hard. You got to remain, even though but it is, it does suck the fun out of Sundays when your team loses like that and they lose in that kind of fashion and they should have won the game and you're just left frustrated, irritated, what happened, and angry. And a lot of my friends after that game, I mean, the first two losses in that fashion, I didn't hear that kind of reaction. After this one, a lot of my friends were like, I was ready to throw something. I was ready to punch something. I think my drywall needs fixing. Like, a lot of folks were mad. Like, this is the third time in 6 weeks, and we're rightfully so. And, we heard a lot of that chatter, and Ravens Nation's a little irritated right now. And hopefully the players get mad. I mean, going back to that sideline blow up with Marcus Peters, maybe the players got to get mad, got to get riled up, and hopefully the Ravens find some fire. And hey, what better way to do it at home, at the crib, at the bank where the losing streak is broken. It was broken 2 weeks ago. So how about this? How about continuing the winning streak and starting a new streak? And how about getting a second consecutive home win and getting back to basics in the W column and getting on the right side of 500 and putting a even column in the division? Forgot about this. I'm remiss. we beat the Bengals 2 weeks ago, so we're 1-0. So how about keeping the perfect record and be 2-0? See, I'm so man and flustered. I don't even know who the Ravens beat and what their records are and where. I don't know. So Lord forgive me, I forgot. So yeah, so we can remain undefeated in the division, a 2-0 mark. Putting a beating on the Browns would be fantastic. How about it? Let's not have a fourth quarter collapse. Let's not have a nail biter, even though we both predicted one. How about let's just beat them. Let's just show everybody that we're back. But anybody, let's just root for a win. Let's just root for a non-exhausting, non-drama-filled win. But hey, who are we kidding? It's the Baltimore Ravens. But anyway, enjoy it if you're going to the game on Sunday, wherever you're watching, wherever you're tuning in. We appreciate you checking out all of our platforms. With that being said, take a deep breath and find it in yourself to say, hey, how about it, Baltimore Ravens? Are you going to fly high this Sunday? I want you to.
This has been a production of Brando Cash Entertainment. Music by Brad Lepore and Daniel Kelly from the DBK Studio. For more information, go to brandocash.com.